Joined just now, management of Bajaj Electricals to understand that how unseasonal rains and commodity prices have had impact on the business for the quarter gone by. Good morning, Anuj. Thank you for joining us. So finally, it's raining, finally, but it has rained late. How has that affected your business?
Morning, Nikunj. I know everybody's happy with the rains. I can't say the same for us. We like the heat to sell our products. But to be honest, it's been a very, yo-yo season for the last 2-3 months with unseasonal rains to different patches in between the summer months. And we've seen that, therefore, yo-yo demand. It's been very difficult to plan. That said, we've had some very intense heat waves, particularly in June, till the recent rains. If I were to sum up this quarter, I think April, May has been soft, but June has seen very strong tertiary demand. And while that's not translated to primary demand, I think that's yet good news for us because when the tertiary happens, I think the primary will follow in time to come.
Anuj, were you able to take that impending price hike though for fans?
That's been on since about January. I don't think we've all managed to take price hikes the way we need to. So I think with the demand being under pressure, margins have been squeezed. But I think these are cyclical factors. If the overall demand is picking up like we're seeing in tertiary now, then I'm happy for that. Actually, I want to call out another data point, and this is the headline for me in the last many months. I've been saying this for a long time, that GDP has not been translated to consumer demand. We've all seen consumption demand being very slow for several quarters. The best and the brightest news that I've got in a long time is the employment data. And, the May data that's come out for CMIE shows employment, which is the salary jobs, having touched 92 million in May. And it's the first time that we've crossed 90 million since 2019. So that's the one single biggest positive news that I've seen in a long time. And in time to come, that should actually hopefully translate to demand pickup.
When I look at the trends, consumer durables for me is something which is a necessity and it is very basic. I look at cars are doing okay. I look at luxury sales which are doing okay. But when it comes to motorcycles and consumer durables, they are not doing okay. Why is that?
So Nikunj, I think a year ago it was largely inflation-led. I think for the last 6-8 months, it's because of the interest rate hikes. What happens with interest rate hikes is that your EMIs have gone up for most people and their residual disposable income has gotten squeezed here. But like we've been seeing, hopefully we are at the peak interest rates. The governor just guided that
sales through the financing route, and NBFCs and banks are now financing from a mobile phone to a fridge and a television. Why is that the financing route is not adding to the business uptick?
So firstly, to be honest, we don't play in those categories. Ours are smaller ticket size products, which are not typically financed. But that said, I think financing is part of the support system, but ultimately people need to have a certain level of disposable income. And that has been squeezed significantly. Then, what should I say, the psyche or sentiment on spending comes down. And I think sentiment often plays a much bigger factor than we understand. And therefore, I think this turn of cycle is important because as negative news starts coming down for consumers, then the sentiment should start, becoming positive there.
The other, phenomena one is witnessing is that just about every consumer is now moving towards the luxury end, the premiumization end. Having said that, I don't see that translate into your premium brand, that's Morphy Richards. What's the strategy here?
So, Morphy Richards is on a different path. We are rolling out a new product portfolio for that, so we are perfectly fine with that. You'll see a lot more action on Morphy Richards second half of this year. So we've just been, waiting for that to play out and we'll see that action play out.
How would you define competition in this space? First it was Chinese imports. Indian companies were getting Chinese manufactured products and selling them under their own brands. Now you've got companies like Reliance are coming out with their own line of white goods. What is exactly happening to the competitive landscape?
So firstly, I want to bust this myth around Chinese. Of course, some of the large white goods, panels, television screens, depends on Chinese imports. Almost entirely the small domestic appliances fans is domestically manufactured for a long time. So the Chinese imports or total imports is very, very small and insignificant in most of our categories. That's point one. Point two, competition is not new. It's been there for several years. At least I've been seeing it last 5 years that I've been in the industry that comes in. So I think we don't really react to competition so much. I think we have a clear path for us in terms of how we want to nurture or grow our brands. I think ultimately in the long run, brands will make a difference, brands along with product innovation. I do think, and while not naming the competitors, you named one of them, they will be price warriors. And that's not the segment or the price segment at which we want to battle at, or not definitely the strategy we are focused on. So there will be two products, commoditized players who will battle it out for price. We want to be a brand that's a brand of preference, and we have a different strategy on that.
So are you hoping that second half would be better than first half, or are you confident that it will be better?
I am confident that it will be better. Yeah.
Okay, so then why are you confident? Is it because of the base effect, or you think that things will stabilize on the demand front?
So I think 2, 3 points, right? Inflation has clearly plateaued out. Two, interest rates, which was a bigger negative factor, that has flattened out. So I think both of these, with time, will lead to better sentiment, and that should come back and start reflecting. Third is, like I just called out, the jobs data is to me the single biggest positive news that I've seen in a long time, and that has to translate to demand at some point of time. And fourth, really, as you get into festive quarter, unless there's negatives, people start, or they do have a propensity to spend. So I think hopefully, unless there's any further new bad news, I think you're gearing up for, potential tailwinds in Q3, Q4.
Anuj, great to have you on the show today and give us that perspective on where business is headed. And it seems like it's looking upwards for sure.
Thank you.